He's the billionaire CEO of SpaceX and Tesla.
He plans to go to Mars to establish a human colony.
He's the second richest person in the world with a net worth of $179.8 billion.
He's Elon Musk, and here's the top 10 rules for success.
Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Believe in yourself.
We really tried hard to convince a lot of companies. Honestly, I was in so many panels, but generally the sentiment that was expressed that you mentioned earlier, that was pretty much universal. Especially back in, say, 2008 or 2007, like when we first unveiled the Roadster in 2007. It was just basically. They just said, well, you're basically a bunch of fools. Generally they would say like, well, starting a car company is crazy. You're going to lose all your money. I was like, I think I probably will lose all my money. I agree. It wasn't like I thought it would be successful. I thought we had maybe a 10% chance of success. So then people would say, it's going to fail and you're going to lose everything. I was like, yeah, probably true. Yeah. What else is new?
Rule number 2, earn it.
I think just generally the path to leadership should not be through, basically MBA business school situation. It's like it should be kind of work your way up, do useful things, and and there's a bit too much of somebody goes to a high-profile MBA school and then kind of parachutes in as the leader, but they don't actually know how things work. They could be good at, say, PowerPoint presentations or something like that, and they can present well, but they don't actually know how things work because they do not, they parachute in instead of like working their way out.
They never went through an apprenticeship, for lack of a better word.
They're kind of like just not aware of what's really needed for, to make great products. I don't want to trash MBAs too much here, and I actually do have a dual undergrad, a Wharton undergrad, and physics at UPenn. So, so I have I have direct exposure to business school, and I went to do undergrad business school with physics, but and I was a teaching assistant for 2 semesters, and I graded MBAs and undergrads. But I think it's just a little bit too much. Like people look at MBA school as like I want to parachute into being the boss instead of earning it, and I don't think that's good.
Rule number 3: have exceptional ability.
What do you look for in the people you hire, especially the engineers?
Really, just look for evidence of exceptional ability. So it's not, or at least aspirationally. Like sometimes these things get messed up in recruiting, or the recruiting filter ends up being wrong. Like I sometimes wonder with Tesla, if Nikola Tesla applied to Tesla, would we even give him an interview? It's not clear. This guy came from like some weird college somewhere in Eastern Europe. He's got some odd mannerisms. Now we don't know if we should give him an interview. Like I worry that that's actually what we do instead of like, it should be like, man, Nikola Tesla, this kid's super smart. What does he want? We'll pay him anything. That should be the reaction if Nikola Tesla applies, to Tesla, ironically. But I can tell you the intent is we're looking for evidence of exceptional ability, and it really doesn't matter if you went to graduate high school or college or anything. We're just looking for evidence of exceptional ability, such that it would be a good predictor for doing exceptional things at SpaceX.
Rule number 4: be excited about life.
Is it going to be a business kind of tourism in orbit, or is it more kind of plan B if things on Earth do not develop as well?
It's not exactly a plan B. It's more that I think there's two aspects to this. One is that we want to have a future that is inspiring and exciting. And what are the things that you find inspiring and exciting about the future? And I think a future where we are a spacefaring civilization and out there among the stars, I think that's, every kid gets excited about that. You don't even need to teach them. They just get it. It's like instinctive. And so it's very important for us to have reasons to be excited about life. Like when you wake up in the morning, it can't just be about problems.
It's okay. I know everyone in this room deals with a lot of tough problems, but it's got to be more than that. So, I think a future where you can say, hey, even if it's not you, there's going to be people out there. We can have a base on the moon. We're going to have a city on Mars. Maybe go further, the moons of Jupiter and everything. I think that's a very exciting future.
Also, if you want to have more self-confidence and self-belief, I've created a special free program called 254 because the science says that it takes up to 254 days of consecutive action to build a habit. So what I'm going to do is send you an unlisted video to your email every day for 254 days for free to help your confidence and self-belief shift forward. The link to join is in the description below.
There are just times when something is important enough, you believe in it enough that you do it in spite of the fear. Before we were able to get the Roadster out, then they'd say, well, you couldn't possibly make that car work. When you want to do something new, you have to apply the physics approach.
Rule number 5, innovate.
This was X.com was a precursor to PayPal, basically.
That's right, yeah.
You merged with Confinity, and it became PayPal major success.
Yeah, so it worked out better than we expected. Confinity. So initially, Confinity and X.com started out from slightly different directions, and then converged to the same point. With X, the thought was to create an integrated set of financial services, so you could go to one place and do all of your financial anything. And then, as a feature, we had the ability to transfer money or securities or anything simply by entering a unique identifier. So, like a email address or phone number or something like that. But when we would demo the system, the hard stuff, which was the integration of all the financial services, people would not be interested in. But they'd be really interested in being able to transfer money using an email address, even though that was actually quite easy. And so we focused our energy on that. And although it's easy in principle, what gets really hard is adding security while still keeping it easy to use. So, because it's like the Willy Loman quote, like, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money is. So why do people rob PayPal? Same reason.
Right.
And so you can dial up the security to a really high level, but then you're going to make it very hard to use. And so that was one of the toughest things we wrestled with.
Rule number 6, have a clear goal.
You first have to say what is the goal. And once you have what is the goal, you can then measure the various designs against that goal. If otherwise you're saying, how are you evaluating why is one design better than another? What's your goal? It's got to be a goal. So the goal is get enough tonnage to Mars and enough people to make Mars self-sustaining as quickly as possible. So then you say, okay, let's back out the math on this. We're gonna need a lot of tonnage. Maybe, I don't know, 100,000 tons, maybe 1 million tons. So you can't be faffing around with these expandable rockets. They're a joke.
Rule number 7, design technology improvements.
The key to making things affordable is like designing. It's like design and technology improvements as well as scale. So if you think of, like, say, phones, like the earliest cell phones, like, I don't know if you remember, I'm probably like dating myself here, but like the original Wall Street, where the guy's like walking down the beach and he's got like the giant phone.
He's carrying on like a briefcase kind of thing. They're massive. Yeah.
Like massive phone.
Yeah.
And like all it could do is phone.
Yep. Yep.
And like had like 30 minutes of battery life and that kind of thing. Now, at that time, in the absence of technology improvements, like no amount of money, no amount of scale could have made that phone affordable. That'd be a lot of engineering iterations, a lot of design iterations. And we're probably, I don't know, on the 30th version of a cell phone. And with each successive design iteration, you can add more capability, you can integrate more things, you figure out better ways to produce it. So it actually gets better and cheaper, but it's like a natural progression of any new technology that it takes multiple versions and large volume in order to make it affordable.
Rule number 8, find solutions.
Other car companies just really want to outsource battery technology, not even making this battery module and cell, but they're obviously outsourcing the cells, but even outsourcing the modules and the packs. Yeah. And it's like they're really not thinking about fundamental chemistry improvements. And so I should say a bit about like electric vehicles or sustainable energy in general. So it was pretty, I think, obvious to not just to me, but to a lot of people, even go back 30 years or longer, that we must have a sustainable energy solution. In fact, it's tautological. If it's not sustainable, we must at some point find an alternative to it. Mm-hmm. And so, even if there were no environmental impact to the sort of a fossil fuel economy, then we would run out of them, and then we'd have economic collapse, and civilization would fall apart. Yeah. So that was actually my initial motivation for electric vehicles. It's like, okay, we've got to have a solution that does not require mining hydrocarbons. That is sustainable in the long term. It was not actually initially from an environmental standpoint, because I had not realized the gravity of the environmental situation at that time. And I thought, actually, for sure, by now we'd have electric cars.
Rule number 9, have the right objective.
We're focused on, like I said, it is important to have the objective be right. That's why I was talking so much about the importance of making Mars building a self-sustaining city on Mars. If that's the objective, then obviously, just putting some satellites in orbit that's not important. You have to achieve full and rapid reusability. I emphasize full and rapid. Reusability is only relevant to the degree it's rapid and complete. And then you also have to do orbital refilling. This is essential as well. And then propellant production on Mars, also essential. So, with that as the goal, then that means that creates, I think, a good forcing function for radical innovation, because in the absence of radical innovation, we have no chance of meeting that goal. Whereas if our goal was simply, defeat Lockheed and Boeing or something like that, that we would probably achieve.
You've already done it.
That really wasn't even a thing, Yeah. I wish it was. They're not really trying to do reusability, which is bizarre because they make planes that are reusable. So, I mean, if they talk to one of their customers, buys a Lockheed fighter jet or a Boeing aircraft, like, hey, we're going to sell you a 737 that can be used once, and it's not a 737 Max. But that turns out that was a single-use airplane at times. But it really. It would be an absurd thing for them to sell a single-use aircraft, but they feel quite comfortable selling a single-use rocket. And anyway, but if our goal was simply we're going to be the leaders in launching the conventional satellites that exist, we would probably approach that on a sort of a logarithmic basis, where you'd get there and you'd sort of slowly make progress towards doing 10 launches a year, 12 launches a year, and while they do 6 or something like that. I don't know. But since the goal is, hey, we need to make life multiplanetary before it's too late, and time really matters. So it's like we're shooting for Mars, not just the moon. It's not let's shoot for the moon, shoot for Mars. And then these competitive things are kind of small things along the way. Unless somebody else is shooting for Mars, they will not be competitive with something as pedestrian as launching a few satellites into Earth orbit.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have fun.
Why is music so important for you? Techno music in particular?
Well, it's pretty fun. I think it's, you want to, feel maximum human, And so I think when people have sort of rave and good music, it can be like, hey, maximum human, You want to really feel, it's like what really gets you to feel, And I think that, having fun with friends and, just crazy dancing is fun.
Perhaps your love for techno music is the secret reason why you are building big projects in Berlin.
Honestly, it's a significant factor.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you just get motivated, the sign says you have a 35% chance of actually following through. That's not good enough, Believe Nation. We got to take action. But when you get motivated and then you create a specific plan of action for when and how you're going to do it, your number jumps from 35% to 91% chance of following through. And when you commit to somebody else, like posting down here in the comments below, that number jumps to 95%. I want to know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so you can follow through and I can celebrate you.
I keep hearing you say we. Like, it sounds like you're always thinking of everybody. I see you as a very selfless person.
Thanks.
I mean, seriously. I mean, yeah. It's like from the age of 12, it sounds like you've been thinking about how to help humanity.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be sort of like some, the sort of savior or something like that, but it's really just that if it just seems like I don't know, seems like the obvious thing to do. I'm not sure why you do anything else. We want to maximize happiness of the population and propagate into the future as far as possible and understand the nature of reality. And from that, I think everything else follows.
If you want 10 more amazing rules from Elon Musk, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
There will be few people who believe in you or in what you're doing, but then over time, as you make progress, the evidence will build, and